All right, welcome everybody to TSR tonight. I'm your host Brian Moss, and we have Larry Marley out there on the West Coast. Larry, how you doing tonight?
Man, I'm in Phoenix, and it is 104 degrees in Phoenix right now. So no, look, it's funny. I was just sitting here talking with somebody. I had been in Boise this week, which is the team we're going to play after this week, and talking with some people. And you know, the thought there is that Memphis is one of the top candidates for the G5 position in the New Year's Six Bowls. And I thought it was interesting that the people in Boise, you know, thought that going to Memphis was going to be a really, really tough game for them, and B, that they understood that where the program was as far as the G5 New Year's Six Bowls was. And I just found that interesting, Brian. I really did.
Yeah, I think they had a rough start. I think if they were undefeated at this point, maybe that you might have had a different response.
Right. No. And they acknowledge that going. So they've got a tough game this week going to San Diego State, and they're really worried about that. Whereas we have a really tough game, obviously, this week, which I know you're going to talk about.
Yeah, real quick though, I wanted to. I have a video to show of the first possession that the Tigers have had, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but you can definitely comment on it here. So let me play because I think the second possession, sorry, the first possession, I thought the Memphis did great, but here's the second possession. Right here. If you look, the blue arrow, for those that are listening, to the podcast, sorry about that, but the ones who are watching on YouTube, the blue arrow is where, Blake Watson ran. But you remember, I mean, how many times have I harped that I want a running back to bounce a little bit, just bounce to the left or right? Because right here, this B gap, man, that's like 2 yards, a yard and a half, 2 yards space right there. And right. I thought he could have got more yardage if he would have hit bounced and went to that B gap.
And for a guy that had played a great game, probably should have been the AAC Player of the Week. Like, yeah. You're pinpointing in. It's really hard to see on the field, but from the top, and this is something that we have struggled with in the last 2 or 3 years, right? And so to me, what you're pinpointing is a problem with the vision of our running backs. So we're getting holes, but they're not the hole where the play was designed to go. And I remember when D'Angelo was here. Now, again, D'Angelo's a borderline NFL Hall of Famer. I get that.
Yeah.
But he used to say that I don't go to the gap that they call, I go to the D'Angelo gap. And what he was saying was, I go where the hole is. And so what you're saying in that video is have some vision and find a hole to get some yards.
Yep, and then we'll go to the very next play here. And if you watch, this is where I thought Seth Hennigan, missed an opportunity. Let's watch this one real quick. right here, I paused it where I had that circle. If the defense is going to give you the middle of the field, why not take it? But I mean, obviously, Seth didn't do that, and he goes for the receiver where he was double coverage. I mean, has been a problem, over the past couple of years that it just rearing its ugly head again.
Right, and throwing into double coverage has been something we've seen with Seth. Now, again, it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback,
Yeah.
but that's what we're here for, right? Is to
Yep.
do this, and so that's what you're talking about, and clearly he's not reading the defense correctly because you've got too deep cover zone in this case, and the correct read would be the underneath play in order to, you may not get a first down, but you've got a good chance at getting quite a few yards and creating a short third down possession.
Yeah, on this 3rd and 6. Now I have this in here because it's, to me, this was a good play after two, questionable plays, but this one I think is a good play where he had two different options. He had Blankency, I believe, over the middle, and he had a running back coming out of the slot here. But let's run this, and this is one where it would have been a first down, but Blankency drops it. So you have that running back coming out, and boom, right there. I mean, it dropped. It would have easily been a first down, but that's, I mean, that's something we've seen. Like I said, over the course of the
Right.
past couple of years, and especially last year, as many drops that the wide receivers had. This is definitely troublesome.
And we've seen this consistently over the last couple of years where the wide receivers had not been able to complete the catch. And as you correctly pointed out, there's no scenario where that should have been a drop pass, right? That's a first down. You've got to, as a receiver, you've got to focus in and say, okay, I've got to catch this ball. And you've worked yourself into the first down range. So we've seen this issue going on for the last 3 years, really, if we're honest, Bryan, right?
Yeah.
And that was a good pass by the quarterback, a good read, and yet you drop the pass, so you turn over the possession.
All right, we'll pause here real quick. We'll talk more about Navy later, but we have Jarod Hamilton coming on from Power Mizzou. They cover Mizzou for Rivals.com. Let's go and take a quick commercial break, and we'll bring Jarod right back on. Hold on for a minute.
Looking to get away from it all? Hey, it's John here with Tropical Getaways Travel. And when I'm not following the Tigers, I help families and groups have their next amazing vacation. Maybe you're looking for a cruise, or maybe it's an all-inclusive resort that you've been dreaming of. Either way, I can help you plan a vacation that fits your budget and your lifestyle. When you're ready to start planning that vacation, give me a call at 901-667-8747. That's 901-667-8747. Or you can visit my website at tropicalgetaways.net. Let's start planning your next amazing vacation.
All right, welcome back to TSR tonight. Now we're happy to have Jarod Hamilton from Power Mizzou. Jarod, how you doing tonight?
Doing well. How about yourself, Bryan?
Not too bad. Just looking forward to this contest. So, when you take a look at Mizzou's, first 3 games, what is your initial thoughts on the first 3 games that they have?
Well, the first one, to use like a basketball analogy, kind of lulls you to sleep with while they're setting up the crossover in week 3. Basically, the first couple of weeks, you were thinking like, this can't be the offense they promised over after they brought in Kirby Moore from Fresno State to be the offensive coordinator. This couldn't be that explosive offense they're talking about, because honestly, the first couple of weeks looked like a lot of last year, like copy and paste almost for some aspects. Then in week 3, you see them do all different types of plays, you could kind of see the setup, like I said, in those first couple of weeks with some of the formations, some of the things they were doing, and how week 3 was all right, let's do this, something Kansas State wasn't prepared for. So, yeah, they were setting it up like a crossover.
Yeah. When you look at this matchup, is there any particular position battles that you're really looking forward to seeing?
I don't know about position battles. I did watch. I had some time to watch the highlights of the Memphis Navy game, and for one, I don't know if this is all the time, so you got to tell me. But the wide receivers, I just feel like they were snagging a lot of stuff out of the air. Is that typical? I know Toski Dove, former Missouri Tiger, lives down there, but I just felt like I kept seeing people with like big receivers just snatch balls out of the air. Is that common for Memphis?
Well, not last year, because as you heard, because you were in kind of like the green room there, Memphis has had a terrible time for wide receivers dropping balls the past couple of years. And just last game, you saw Blankenship. We had that little highlight where he dropped the first down pass. That was really the first game that they really had, I guess I would say a semi-problem. But, yeah, this year it's nice to see the wide receivers actually have some hands. I mean, that's what you're there for, to catch the ball. So, I'm really looking forward to it. Now, do you have any info on Brady Cook? Is he going to play? The status of his injury. You can talk about him for a little bit.
Right. So around the 4-minute mark, I've heard 3 different ways to describe his injury. So during the game, it was sprained knee. Yesterday during media day, Drinkwood said it was a hyperextended knee. And then last night when he was doing Tiger Talk, he called it a deep bone bruise, I think. So which are relatively, what they mean. They're all around the same. He missed practice yesterday, but he was practicing today. So even if he didn't practice today, Drinkwood said kind of like him and Marcellus Johnson, another starter on the line, basically said they're vets. And if they can practice by Thursday, they'll probably have a good chance to go. I don't know about Marcellus Johnson, but I do know Brady Cook practiced today, so I expected to see him starting in St. Louis this Saturday.
For whatever reason he doesn't go, who's the backup, and what confidence that you guys have in him?
I think the backup will be Sam Horn. I'm 100% certain it's going to be Sam Horn. When Brady went down he missed just a couple plays in the K-State game, they brought Sam in and he just did a couple handoffs, but that's it. It was 1 and 2 for pretty much most of fall camp. You've seen the first game, they kind of Brady had one half. Brady had the first half, Sam had the second half. I think it'll be Sam. It's still to be determined as far as what their confidence is in Sam, as far as just, what they're going to do. I will say the last time, I want to say before the MTSU game, Drink said something like, when Sam's in there, they got to kind of pull the Band-Aid back and let it rip. Like, they can't be afraid to use him as the quarterback. I mean, clearly he has the arm and athleticism. It's just about reading the field and stuff like that I think they're confident that if they got to bring him out there, he can do what they need him to do.
Now, the first couple or the last 2 games, you beat MTSU by 4. Obviously, beat K-State with that last field goal. Is there, what's the sense that, especially against MTSU, why wasn't the win margin larger?
The words I've been using the last couple of weeks, just unforeseen, events, unforeseen errors. So it was 23-10 with about maybe 9 or 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And then it just kind of goes downhill. It's been a couple weeks, so let me try to remember exactly what happened. They punted on MTSU's like 44, 45-yard line on like a 4th and short. So that was bad. I'm pretty sure MTSU took that and turned that into points, had like an 87-yard drop, turned that into points. On the kickoff, Marvin Burks, who they're really high on, 4-star safety, he took the kick return, basically got stuck inside its own 15, maybe less than that, can't remember. Next play or 2, it ended up being a safety. And then they gave MTSU the ball again with a chance to score, and the defense held up, but it was just like things you can't predict. You're not going into the game usually predicting a safety or that out of nowhere, with 10 minutes left, you're going to go from comfortable 2-possession game to kind of sweating at the end. So it was just unforeseen. That stuff that happens all the time. It feels like with Missouri the past year or so.
Yeah, when you take a look at the Missouri defense, I mean, what stands out that you? I mean, because when I look at stats, and sometimes stats are great, but sometimes it's also misleading. Like when you take a look at the Memphis stats, they're number 2 in the country in pass defense. Well, you just played Navy. I mean, they don't pass, so the stats are a little skewed a little bit. But total defense, Missouri's 37th, but pass defense, they're 73rd. What do you see out of the Missouri defense?
So I think just kind of like how you mentioned the pass defense for Memphis, I think the pass defense for Missouri is it's a misestimation, a misjudgment, I guess. I mean, I think they have one of the best cornerback duos in the country, and Chris Abrams-Drain and this Rakestraw. It's really a talented duo. I just feel like especially those first couple games, there were times where they took their foot off the gas, and not just them. I'm talking about like the defense in general. They just took their foot off the gas. They win 35-10 versus South Dakota. So there's points where there's lulls in there. Again, I just mentioned the MCSU game where there's lulls in there. Kansas State has a talented secondary, and Chris Abrams-Drain, not secondary, wide receiver group, excuse me. And I still feel like the corners played pretty well. Actually, it was the safeties at some times where maybe they weren't where they're supposed to be. They're not reading the coverages. They got some solid safeties, but at times, they tend to get beat. I know, I think his name is Ben Sennett. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. That's the tight end for Kansas State. 5 receptions for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was kind of having a field day with, some of the linebackers and the safeties, stuff like that. So I think the defense is, pretty good. I think the pass defense, ranking is probably misleading. They'll probably be a little bit higher as the season goes on.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you to make a prediction for this game, but what type of game are you expecting Saturday night?
I think, I'll say this. I think for Memphis to kind of be in this game is probably going to have to be more of a high-scoring type of affair. I know they're putting them around 40 points per game. I feel like I've seen that right. Something around there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's going to have to be a high-scoring affair. The only thing, and it doesn't seem like Missouri is worried about this, but during the week, teams can talk themselves up into anything. But you just really got to see if there's any kind of hangover from last week's win. They seemed very much were about business yesterday during media day when you talk to Drink, when you talk to the players, as far as like Kansas State game is over with, it's gone. If we are overlooking, Memphis, or we're just stuck on the past, then we could lose this game. So they're trying to take it serious. But it's always one thing to say it. It's another thing to show it. Also, obviously, this game's in St. Louis. There's like almost 20 players on the Tigers, on Missouri's team that's from St. Louis. So, you kind of got that, aspect of the game, emotional aspect of the game going on. So as long as there's a focus, I don't know how close I see the game being, maybe a 2-score game. But if they're not focused, you can see it being real close and it's kind of being maybe a high-scoring affair.
Good deal. And we definitely appreciate your time and look forward to the game on Saturday, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Bryan.
Looking to get away from it all? Hey, it's John here with Tropical Getaways Travel. And when I'm not following the Tigers, I help families and groups have their next amazing vacation. Maybe you're looking for a cruise, or maybe it's an all-inclusive resort that you've been dreaming of. Either way, I can help you plan a vacation that fits your budget and your lifestyle. When you're ready to start planning that vacation, give me a call at 901-667-8747. That's 901-667-8747. Or you can visit my website at tropicalgetaways.net. Let's start planning your next amazing vacation.
That was Jarod Hamilton, again from powersmizzou.com. Appreciate having him on. I'll go back to the Navy game now. And sorry, Larry had to catch a flight, him in his ear. So if you saw, those watching on YouTube will be able to see what I'm talking about when he had to put his ear to the laptop so he could hear us. But, my initial thoughts on the Navy game, it was just it was frustrating because we already went over that second possession. The first possession of the Navy game and the last possession of the first quarter I think in that first quarter, the bookend, it was great. First possession was great. The last possession was great. But in the middle, it was gut wrenching. It was sort of hard to watch. Interesting tidbit, when the game kicked off, Navy won the toss, and Memphis, coming into the season, Memphis was 7-8 when they lose the coin toss. Well, they've lost the coin toss every single game so far this year, and obviously they're undefeated. So, just a little interesting tidbit that I looked at the stats. I was like, interesting. So undefeated, and they've lost all the coin tosses this year. But let's go over the touchdown play where Hennigan threw to Rock Taylor in the corner. Let's just watch that real quick. Share some little highlights. I just think this is a great play. You had great pass protection as well. And then Rock Taylor, what can you say? That was a great catch by Rock. I mean, he's coming into his own. I really think he's going to be, a great wide receiver. We've been waiting for it. It's not like it's his fault. He wasn't on the field. Just he had folks in front of him. But now he's getting it. He's getting that playing time. And just as the game went on, it just there was just so many little mistakes, little things that happened that Memphis could have put this game away. I mean, take a look at right here. It's, first and goal. 6-something left in the fourth quarter. You're leading 28-24, and you turn the ball over. I mean, that's something that you can't have. I mean, this game shouldn't have been close or as close as it was, because that was it. You score right there. It's 35-24 with less than 6 minutes to go. I mean, that was almost a momentum killer because Navy did come back or tried to come back. But this is what happened. Memphis defense, kudos to Matt Barnes and the Memphis defense here to buckle up and get the ball back. Simeon Blair with a nice hit right there where the ball got lodged out. Memphis gets the ball back. Now you have 4 minutes and 3 seconds to go in the game. And the play, I don't want to say play calling, but the execution of the plays. This is the last highlight I'll show, where it's third down, 3rd and 11. You have 2:38 to go, and if you're looking on the screen, the middle of the field is open. If they're gonna, I keep harping on it. If they're gonna give it to you, take it. But they didn't have anyone in the middle. I know the tight end would stay in because of the coming blitz, but let's take a look at it.
So now 3rd and 11. First down means it's timeout time.
And boom, steps right in front of the receiver. Interception, and you're starting to get worried because Navy had the ball. They have 2 minutes and 18 seconds, and they had a short field to do it in. And we all know that obviously Memphis was able to close it out. But it's those little mistakes. It's those little things that have haunted Memphis the past couple of years, and it almost cost you this game. Now, there's also a silver lining because, I think if this happened last year, that Memphis would have lost that game. But Memphis didn't. So you could be upset that, Memphis played poorly and almost lost the game, but that's the key. Almost lost the game. They didn't lose. They won. So Memphis was 0-4 last year in one possession games. They won this one. So automatically you're 1-0 right off the bat. So silver lining, yes, Memphis played at times poorly in that game. Some questionable decisions on definitely certain calls. Seth's at times stares down one receiver when you have a different one open. Just look at the different options that are available. And looking ahead to this Missouri game, right after the Navy game, I would have thought, I even texted John and Larry in our group chat, and I was like, I have a feeling this is going to be another game where, just like the last time Missouri played Memphis, 65-33. I was like, until Memphis, can prove me wrong. I at the time I'm like, I just see it as a blowout. Then you start looking at the stats a little bit, like I was talking to Jarod, Missouri only beat MTSU by 4. I mean, MTSU is not the greatest team. I mean, obviously they're not, it's a step down for Memphis. So I think Missouri, if they played their A game, I think obviously Missouri wins. They have on paper they have the better team. It's going to be in Missouri, even though it's St. Louis. It's an away Memphis home game. But where Memphis can win this game, I think for Memphis to win this, they have to play better on third down. Against Navy, they were 4 for 12 on third down. Against Arkansas State, they were 5 for 16. I don't think you can have those stats and beat Missouri. Missouri does give up the pass a little bit, so I think you have a better option. I mean, you have a better chance of beating them if you pass, but you still can't just pass it. I mean, you can't be one-dimensional. So there is a chance for Memphis to win. Given a prediction, earlier in the week, like I said, I thought it was going to be a blowout for Missouri. But the more I look at this game, I like what I'm hearing from the Memphis players. From the folks I talked to that have seen practice. I have a really good feeling. I don't know if Memphis wins this, but I think they can keep it close. If it's a shootout, I think that favors Missouri. So if it's a high scoring game, I think Missouri wins by, at least 3 touchdowns. But I think for Memphis, the Memphis defense is definitely better than the last time they played. So as far as a prediction, I go back and forth. As you see, I'm rambling. I'm just trying to really see what the Memphis defense, 2 in the nation. But that, like I said earlier, that number skewed because of the Navy game. But Arkansas State was a passing team, and they only had 166 yards passing. So, but obviously Missouri's passing game is better than Arkansas State. I think Memphis can keep it close. So I'm going to say Missouri wins 38-17. That is my prediction. And we'll see. I would love to be wrong because it's better for business if Memphis wins. So tell me what you think. Leave subscribe, leave some notes. Go visit tigersportsreport.com. Right now we have an article comparing Missouri starters against the Memphis starters and using the PFF grades. We'll have an article coming tomorrow that will show the Memphis starters, what they were in high school, the star rankings compared to Missouri starters. So definitely visit tigersportsreport.com. Appreciate everyone watching and or listening, and we'll see you next time, man. Go Tigers, go.